Oh, no way. Look who's here. Look who's here. I don't know what he's doing here. Let me think. When I think about this guy, I think about a few things. First thing that comes to mind when I think about this guy in sports, the Chiefs. The second thing I think about when I think about this guy in sports, his takedown of Dave Roberts and his disagreement with me about that. I don't know. But if Jacoby Myers was the ultimate gift from the heavens, and it was, this is a close second. Out of nowhere, before the end of the year, we go right to a two-time Smack-Off champ, the runner-up in Smack-Off 28. And I don't remember when he just called on his own outside of the Smack-Off itself. We go to Iafrate. Kenny, my brother.
Happy holidays, my friend.
My man, happy holidays. Much love and respect. To what do I owe this immense honor?
Surely you jest. Jim, I have been biting my tongue for 4 years now, but yesterday I chewed straight through that sucker. So here goes. Back in 2018, when it required some testicular fortitude on my part to say it, I called this program in the midst of what was to become Hoodie's sixth Super Bowl winning campaign, and I called it as I saw it. I called it as it is. I said that the Hood was no GOAT, that he was just a luckier Mike Shanahan because he didn't just have an all-time great like Elway for 4 years. He had the all-time great TB12 for 18 years, and his numbers read like it. Back then, we only had 6 seasons of utter futility on which to judge Hoodie's mediocrity. 5 in Cleveland and 1 in New England, with not a single division championship or playoff win anywhere in the 6. Now, we've worked our way up to 9 seasons of utter futility. 5 in Cleveland and 4 in New England, with not a single division championship or playoff win anywhere in the 9. 9? What retread is even allowed 9 seasons of complete loserdom without getting blown back permanently into position coachville? I'll tell you which retread, Jim. The one carried for 18 years by the greatest player at the most important position in sports. I'll tell you which retread, Jim. It's the one who is now responsible for the single greatest moment of incompetence ever witnessed on a football field, and I'm including Pop Warner here. I'll tell you which retread. The one who just presided over the kind of play that if it had happened to Nathaniel Hackett, we'd all have declared it all by its lonesome to be a fireable offense. Can you imagine, Jim, if that had happened to, let's say, Bill O'Brien or Romeo Crennel or Charlie Weiss or Eric Mangenius or Josh McDaniels, or Matt Patricia, or Joe Judge, we would all be saying it's because the coach responsible for it had never learned how to coach. And we would be right, because all of those guys never learned how to coach because they learned the universally calamitous Patriot way, which has failed literally absolutely everywhere Tom Brady was not taking snaps, now including the place where Tom Brady used to take snaps. Now, back when you clobbered me on air 4 years ago for committing the sacrilege of describing statistical reality about the Hood, I never dreamed that the Hood would be so breathtakingly arrogant that he would hang around for years on end to prove me right. The Hood was 66 years old when he was holding Lombardi for the 6th time. All he had to do was go away. And you and everyone else would have forever lampooned guys like me for pointing out statistical reality. But no, he chose to stick around and remove all doubt about who deserves the credit for those 18 years of magic in Massachusetts. Might it perhaps be the guy who, at the age of 43, won MVP honors in lifting a previously 7-9 team all by himself to Super Bowl glory? Or is it the coach who has averaged 7-9 in his 9 years without the 43-year-old Super Bowl MVP. So you asked Jim, how did that happen to a Belichick coach team? It happened because it is a Belichick coach team. Already, Don Shula and George Halas have better career winning percentages, Jim, and they didn't have prime Tom Brady for 18 years. Soon, Andy Reid will catch Hoodie's winning percentage, and he's only had Baby Goat for 5 years. Hell, Tony freaking Dungy has a better career winning percentage, and he only had Peyton Manning for half of his 13-year coaching career. Jim, if the scoreboard still rules all on this program, let us all together declare the Hood not the GOAT. I want to hear it, Romy. Is Jacoby Myers' coach the GOAT?
My man, let me respond to this. First of all, Kenny, nice job, Rakim. Kenny, how is it that every year when I invite you to the Smack Off, you are never available, but when something like this happens outside of the Smack Off, you deliver your best call ever? My God, dude, get off me. I no longer feel blessed by you showing up the way you just did. Listen, to be fair, what you're saying is not unfair nor untrue, and it's a war of attrition, and clearly you are winning that war of attrition by outlasting all of us. But to be fair, I don't think that Bacon lifted that Lombardi all by himself at 43. I think the guy did have some help, unless he was the one who was harassing Patrick Mahomes. However, much of what you say, of course, is right on the money because, frankly, Iafrate, you have always been the smartest person in the jungle and the most bitter, and you will show up when it's imminently convenient, like today. My man, I know you have more important things to do than say, I told you so, brother. I can't find you for months on end. Dude, you're like in faraway outposts saving the world, doing way more important things than finding a phone line to call me and say, I told you so. Where is my apology? That was incredible. I've long said that Iafrate, pound for pound, and I mean this in all walks of life, is one of the most talented people I've ever met in all walks of life, in all sincerity. Kenny. But dude, you are one of the angriest people I've ever met in all walks of life, with all sincerity. What an incredible phone call. He's like, I told you so. I've been saying it. I'm going to say it again right now. And I'm going to say it, and this time you're going to hear me. Kenny, you do know today's not the Smack Off, right? You know you can't add that to your mantle. Although that was Smack Off worthy, wasn't it? 1-800-636-8686. That's how epic that was. That guy has had that locked and loaded since the very last time we had a conversation about that. Just waiting, biding his time. Man, I thought that I enjoyed that. Nobody enjoyed that more than Iafrate. The difference is I've got a big smile on my face. This dude's seething. Kenny, bitter much? What a legend. Iafrate. One of the things that when we think about the jungle and the culture of this program, the fabric of this program, one of the things I have the most pride in, Iafrate. He goes back decades and decades and decades. And how did he get that gloss? How did Iafrate, Kenny, get that gloss? Most of you don't even know. Way back in the day when I worked at 690 AM in San Diego, we carried the LA Kings broadcast. We had the rights to the LA Kings. And some idiot got it in their head that between periods I should go down on the ice and stand between the pipes and field slap shots from winners of a contest. I don't even remember how we had winners of the contest, and I don't remember how we negotiated that whole thing. Like, they wanted to put me on skates, which I thought was a terrible idea. Like, I really wanted to go down on the ice in front of ice and ibuprofen. Like, I want to go down the ice in front of 12,000, 15,000 people and field slap shots. But luckily they were not from players, but just winners. Iafrate was one of the guys. And he was talking so much junk leading up to that. Like, yo, bro, this is going to go so badly for you. It's going to go so badly for you. I'm like, who are you, Al Iafrate? Slap shot, 150 miles an hour. That's how he became Iafrate. He was going to fire a slap shot at me. I think it was some weak wrister. That, of course, was an easy kick save by me. But that's how Iafrate became Iafrate. But those of you who know the real Iafrate would not believe. Obviously, by listening to him, right? The intellect would suggest that he's more than a caller to a radio program. Iafrate, without getting into it, is the very definition of the reinvention project with Jim Rome. Why I bother with a podcast and a book and a speaking tour, which I'd love to get started, when I could just sit with this guy. Have him lecture me on a few of my bad sports takes. Once he gets that off his chest, the Dave Roberts thing, the Belichick thing, then we could talk about how he actually did, in fact, have one of the greatest career reinventions of anybody I've ever read about or interviewed. Fact. Very good friend. Not only of the show, but Kenny, I hate to give it up, but we're very good personal friends. And we'll talk a few times a year. But of all the people I've interviewed on the Reinvention Project, of all the people I've interviewed on this show, I would venture a guess. Iafrate may have had the greatest single, certainly professional reinvention I've ever seen. Arguably the greatest spiritual reinvention I've ever seen. And I'd put his story up there with anybody's. And most of you do not know it. Only that he'll call once or twice a year to take down the clones and or me and go with that bitter old man thing. Incredible call. Very happy for that. Did not expect that on a Monday, but knowing him, I probably should have. Had I gone through my mental files of my mental takes, I probably should have known that was coming. But I was too caught up in the moment, Kenny. Too happy. And was not looking to tell anybody. Notice I didn't go, I told you so. I was just reveling in the glory that is Jacoby Myers. So next time, Kenny, when you come on the show, acknowledge the name of the show at least before you come at me like that. Hey, Jim, great to be on the Jacoby Myers show. How are you? When we come back, you want to follow that guy? Have fun with that. Hey, V in the Fee, would you like to follow that guy? Incredible moment.